You can turn it down. Greetings to you. I'm Brother James Muhammad, a student in the ministry of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and your host for this week's segment of Closing the Gap broadcast. We want to welcome all of our viewing and listening audience, and of course, thank you so much for your regular participation in this broadcast. Without you, this broadcast would not exist. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we are hopeful that there will be some who will be tuning in for their first or second time. We look forward to the new participants. But for those of you who regularly tune in, you know that we always invoke the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds. We thank Almighty God Allah for his merciful and prophetic intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And we thank him for raising up from our midst his messenger, Messiah, the exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, through whom we have been given our beloved and blessed Redeemer. And I refer to him as my personal Savior. The man of whom I speak is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is to these men that we are so deeply grateful and highly honored for this wonderful privilege and opportunity to present to you and introduce to some of you the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as they have been so clearly and abundantly given us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, by offering a platform from which and through which some of the profound students in the ministry of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan can share with us, with me, with you, and us some of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. In their names, I'm very happy to greet you, our beloved brothers and sisters, and all of you who have tuned in, some friends, and as Brother Malcolm used to say, and some enemies. We want to greet all of you with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
All praise is due to Allah. This, as I always say, but with emphasis on it this time, is a very, very special broadcast dear to my heart. The guest that we're going to be blessed to host is our dear brother, the executive director of the Final Call Radio. And for those of you who haven't tuned into the Final Call Radio, do yourself a favor and a service. For those of you who are desirous of getting uncut, pure, unadulterated guidance, and of course, guidance in this world of confusion is at a premium. For those of us who are looking for that guidance, looking for solutions to the problems that beset us, specifically as a people, and in general to the human family of the planet Earth. Tune in to Final Call Radio. As you can see, the address is The website is scrolling on the bottom of the screen. And of course, we're going to get into that. But we are so blessed to have our dear brother, the again, the executive director of the Final Call Radio, a brother whom I've known for years, which is a great blessing. He was a wonderful help to me when I was blessed to be the minister or student minister in Orlando, Florida. Much of the progress we made at that time is owing to his great, great contribution to our effort and his open door policy with us who were trying to represent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the airways and in different areas in the city. We are very, very blessed to host our dear brother, Michael Saunders. So I want to extend the mic to him. But before I do, Brother Michael, if you don't mind, we want to recognize the presence of our esteemed co-hosts, our dear sister, Shala Muhammad, the managing editor of the Final Call newspaper, the greatest paper that has ever been published by the greatest publisher. And
Come on.
parenthetically, although she's not too happy for me to say these things, but we consider her the star of the it's not a play on words or her name, but we look at her as the star of the broadcast. Our dear sister, Stala Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Stala.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother James, Brother Chad, and Brother Michael. It is wonderful to be back on another edition of Closing the Gap. So excited for tonight's broadcast and to hear from our dear brother who has done such a tremendous work on bringing Final Call Radio to the masses of our people and to the whole world, the whole of humanity. And so this evening, I'm sure we have in our viewing and listening audience those who have questions that they would like to pose to our brother this evening. So I would just like to remind those who are tuning in this evening, if you do have any questions throughout the broadcast that you would like to ask Brother Michael, is to kindly type your questions in the chat, and we will strive to get through as many of them and present them to our brother as possible. But just excited for tonight's show. Thank you.
All praises due to Allah. And of course, we are joined by our dear brother and student minister of the Muhammad Mosque number 47 here in the city of Tampa, student minister Chad Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother student minister Chad.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. And also assalamu alaikum, brother Michael and sister Stala.
Alaikum salam, sir. Alaikum salam.
I concur with sister Stala. It's an honor to be back and to have you on the show, brother Michael. You know, we all got testimonies when it comes to Final Call Radio. And one of the things my family do is one of the first days we do in the morning. We getting ready for work. Final Call Radio is playing. You know, and it's a joy to have, you know, especially coming from, you know, the old school when we used to have, remember when we used to have in the Final Call all of the cities that was listed that was playing the Honorable Minister Louis.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
So with modern technology.
Praise
be to Allah. Look forward to this.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. And now it's my great privilege and honor to present to most and to introduce to some our dear brother and friend and wonderful helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, the executive director of the Final Call radio program, our dear brother Michael Saunders. Assalamu alaikum, brother Michael.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam. And thank you. I too am so honored to be on the program Closing the Gap. And before I start, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all once again with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
But it is indeed to see y'all's beautiful faces, and I'm honored to be on Closing the Gap, to talk about Final Call Radio, and also to be educated on the theme of how beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news. Brother James, when I saw that this week, I got excited about that. I said,
Yes, sir.
listen,
Yes,
I want to know more about this and all what you bring. But you all do such a beautiful, magnificent work. And as I was telling Brother James earlier, this work is not easy, but we have found a way through modern technology to get this out and get it and help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan reach this message to every nook and cranny throughout the world. So thank you for this beautiful and mighty work that you all are doing as well.
All praises due to Allah. We are the grateful ones and the honored ones, Brother Michael. And I'm going to restrain myself from, dominating this show with walks down memory lane.
Yes, sir.
as I'm inclined to do. We have such a wonderful history together.
Yes, sir.
All praises due to
Praise
Allah.
be to Allah.
Dear brother, I was listening to the Final Call Radio this afternoon, actually. And literally, I was nearly brought to tears because the minister's song, Look at My Chains, was being played. And man, I just listened to our multifaceted, I could say genius, but genius is just too cheap a word, multifaceted God, and expressing his great talent in his vocals. Oh my God. That song, the way he presented it, the way he represented it, it made me literally see myself in chains. I exaggerate not. His heart was in it. His soul was in it. Right. And I really moved to tears. And of course, the history when he was, as he related it to us, when he was singing those songs, his daughter, Sister Bessie Jean, was in the audience, and she didn't know he was acting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And she was bolted down the aisle, from what I understand, trying to I got to get my daddy up under them, out of those chains.
Right.
But when you listen to him sing, you could understand how his daughter, and many of us who had the opportunity to listen to him, his rendition of that song, feel how we can be, how she, and of course we all are so moved. So
yes, sir. I don't know what's going on with this television. So in the building where I live, I'm in the area where it's the work area. And this television had this screen in the background, which I hope it stays there, because I don't know what just happened right then. But just so you know, that is not my home screen, or else I'd be able to control it. But it's the building where I live. But I hope it remains where it is right now, on just a regular screensaver.
Yeah, I saw it going back and forth, but
somewhat of a distraction.
Look, man, I'm so excited and so involved in this, man. Look, I hardly noticed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I think that's the way those who are viewing and listening are going to feel the same way, particularly when we get into the interview.
But Brother James, it's interesting you talk about the minister and that music. I was blessed to be with him in, I think it was 2015, maybe a little later. We were down in Miami talking about marketing his Let's Change the World album.
Yeah.
And he was talking about Beethoven at the time. And he said in order to play Beethoven for him, he had to take on the mind of Beethoven.
That's right.
And he started explaining about Beethoven, one of his symphonies. And he said, it started off boom, 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 boom. And I was like, I think I'd heard that before, but the minister said that was his heart. Because the minister said that really Beethoven was a black man.
That's right.
And he was in love with a woman that he could not have. And that's why he made that song or started off that particular symphony with the heartbeat of that song. So it's always unique for me to think about the minister. I know he gets into the mind of a person or whatever he's going after. And when I hear you talk about Look at My Chains, I think that's why, because I feel the same way. I hear that song and I've heard it many, many times, but
yes, sir,
it always hits me and it makes me know that his mind is there and he's seeing and feeling that. He's just not performing or recording that music just because.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And that's the uniqueness and the beauty of our beloved Minister Farrakhan.
Absolutely. A unique man, although he repeatedly refers to himself as an ordinary man. And when I hear that, he says he's an ordinary man that allows blessing to do extraordinary things.
Come on,
Come on. And of course, he says he's an example of what we could do and greater. According to the scriptures, it says, why marvel at the things that I do? Greater things that I do shall you do.
That's right.
And that was put in the mouth of Jesus in the Bible, but it is also properly coming out of the mouth.
That's right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because we know that he is the long-awaited Messiah that the world has been awaiting for 2,000 years.
Yes, sir.
All praises due to Allah. So we are blessed now, with our brother. I have your bio in front of me, and, I could such wonderful accomplishments. But I want to say that I was blessed to watch your interview with our dear brother Vaughn and the J.D. Rockwell radio program, which was an exemplary interview. And the way Brother Vaughn conducted it, just really exemplary. And in that interview, while he had your information, your bio, he allowed you to tell us your history, your pedagogy. And I think that approach was absolutely wonderful because you shared with us some things that, of course, the bio is not necessarily going to address, but just the history of your sojourn, your meeting the minister, your relationship with his children, particularly our beloved student supreme captain, Brother Mustafa Farrakhan. And that's how we want to do it. But I'll read a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Of your bio, because it's extremely impressive, and you deserve it. You deserve it. So we have our dear brother Michael Saunders. With a career spanning over 4 decades, Michael Saunders is a seasoned radio programmer known for his impactful contributions to the industry. Since 1985, Michael has programmed hip-hop and R&B stations in some of the country's most dynamic radio markets, including New York, Los Angeles, Houston, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Detroit, Charlotte, and Orlando. His deep understanding of the programming and audience engagement has allowed him to collaborate with some of the biggest names in music and in radio. With a career, he has dedicated his career to using his expertise in broadcasting to amplify the messages of the Nation of Islam. His journey in Islam began in 1992 when he first encountered the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, an experience that profoundly impacted him and sparked a deep interest in Islam. This led him to the study of Master Fard Muhammad, the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Prophet Muhammad. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I definitely want you to come on in and share with us some of that history of your encounter, your introduction to Islam, to the minister, and the circumstances surrounding it. I'm going to turn it
Yes,
over.
sir.
Praise
Well,
be to Allah.
I tell you, when I reflect back on my introduction to Islam, and especially after hearing some of the stories of the believers, mine is so unique to me because I wasn't looking for Islam. I didn't have any issues. I wasn't upset. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I didn't have an issue with white people. I didn't have an issue with our people. I
Yes.
grew up in the church, went to a Baptist church in Chester, South Carolina, a little small town. Didn't have an issue with the church. But Allah had me go to the doorstep of the minister. When you think about how we have come into the nation, how many of us are escorted to the minister, to the palace, and brought like a baby to the minister? And not that I'm special, because I'm not, I'm just your brother, but I didn't, and I still don't understand. But to be brought there and presented to him, while I'm thinking I'm going there to meet him for one reason, it's something much, much greater and much bigger. And I remember going through the doors and seeing this beautiful home and going in his library or study, being searched and asked to remove my shoes and put on these footies, and going through the search process, which was so beautiful. I'd never experienced anything like this. I said, "It asked me to take my shoes off. I didn't step in anything coming in here. Why am I asked to take my, well, okay, I'll take them off. But do I have any holes in my, no, I don't have any holes in my socks this time. But thank God they're giving me footies anyway, if I did." So we go into the parlor and everybody's there. So many people, some I knew, some celebrities, some I didn't know. And we're just mingling and talking. And all of a sudden, the minister walks in with his suit on, and he's got on footies and he's looking magnificent. Now, keep in mind, I've never seen this man before in my life. I'd never heard him speak. And being a programmer, audio is everything. So what I wanted to do was hear him speak when I knew I was going to be introduced to him. And of course, at that time, in 92, the internet was just coming around. And I certainly didn't have access to the internet. So I couldn't go online to hear any of his speeches. And I don't know if I would have found any there if I did. So I was anxious to hear what he sounded like and why so many people loved and adored him.
Yes, sir.
And the first words I heard come out of his mouth after everybody finished applauding him after he walked out in his own home, he said, "You must be brother." and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So we embraced, we hugged, and he said, "Come on, everybody, let's go eat." And we all sat around the table, and I see people, the believers putting microphones and Walkmans and recording devices in front of him. And I've never seen, now keep in mind, I've met all kinds of R&B artists and hip hop artists and rappers and celebrities, but I've never seen anything like this in my life. But the biggest thing I noticed was the spirit coming from the minister, the aura, the power that you could just feel coming off of him. And I remember saying to myself, how can anybody hate this man? This man is the most beautiful human being I've ever seen in my life. And sitting at the table, he was talking, and he would, had so much humor with him, and we were laughing, and then he would drop some knowledge, and I was like, wow, I never thought about that before.
Wow.
And
Yes.
then he would come back and teach, and then we'd laugh a little bit, and then he'd drop some more knowledge. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm in love. I'm in love. And I can't wait. I haven't even left his side yet, and I can't wait to get back to see him again. And so the questions starting to build in my mind that I wanted to ask him. And so after dinner, I had a few questions, and he said, brother, he said, I want you to pick up the Quran, the Bible, and the dictionary and read.
Yes.
And Sister Starla, I think you were in the Final Call building when I was presenting Final Call Radio, and I said there, I know how to read. I don't need a dictionary, and I know words. That was the first thought that came up in my mind. I'm not gonna lie. But when I started reading and I followed his instructions, I said, man, I didn't even know the definition of there, and there.
Yes, sir.
I don't know nothing. THERE, THEY, apostrophe RE, THE. I didn't know any of those. I said, I better learn and I better continue to read, like he said. But I was blessed to go away and read and then come back and ask more questions. Go away and read and come back and ask more questions directly to him. And what a blessing it really was and is. And I thank Allah for putting me in that position to have those questions, and him being so kind and patient with me to answer those questions. I think I said one night, it was Brother Jim Brown, may Allah be pleased with him, the minister and our student supreme captain. We were having a conversation, and I'm telling you, I was firing off questions back to back to back, and Brother Jim Brown got annoyed, and I think he said, brother, what do you do? What do you do for a living? And the minister said, brothers in broadcasting, but that's not what he's going to be doing for long, but I'm not going to get into that. And Brother Jim Brown said, I knew it had something to do with talking. I said, oh,
Yes, sir.
So those were my first, the first early days, early years of being around the nation and watching the brotherhood and the sisters. I'd never seen sisters look so supreme in all my life. Yeah. Even the sisters who came to tell us what was on the dinner menu that evening, I could not believe what I was hearing and seeing. And the presentation of all of that was just remarkable to me, because I'd never seen a Black man, Black family, an example of that before in my life, and never have since then, except when I go around the nation and our beloved believers.
All praises due to Allah. That's very beautiful. I want to turn the interview over to our hosts, our dear sister Starla Muhammad and our dear brother student minister Chad Muhammad. Just want to read a bit more of your bio, and then I'll turn it over to you, Sister Starla. In 2015, our brother Michael proposed the idea of the Final Call Radio to Minister Farrakhan, aiming to create a platform that would broadcast the minister's messages globally. Minister Farrakhan's affirmation stating, "It's time," reinforced Brother Michael Saunders' belief that this endeavor was his divine calling. He interpreted the word time as measure, regulate, calculate, set, count, synchronize. In reverse as emit, symbolizing the act of transmitting sound, a fitting metaphor for his mission in radio broadcasting. In Final Call Radio launched in April 2020, and under Brother Michael Saunders' leadership, it has reached millions of listeners across 150 countries. Think of that, 150 countries, broadcasting the teachings of the Nation of Islam 24/7. Brother Michael expressed his dedication by stating, "I've always wanted to help our nation and certainly help Minister Farrakhan to take what I have been blessed to do for the past 40-some years and give it to our nation and the believers and everyone who listens." All right, I'm going to stop there, dear brother. Turn it over, of course, to our co-host. But if you want to respond to that segment of your bio, and again, I have to refer to the magnificent interview that our brother Vaughn and our brother Big Dave C.
Yes, sir.
Of the famed J.D. Rockwell radio program. Excellent. I mean, just
Beautiful. Yes, sir.
Broadcast. You said, well, Brother James, doesn't he air at the same time? Closing the Gap broadcast, and you giving him all these plugs. Look, I can't help it. And because it's such a magnificent broadcast. And for those of you who want to access that interview, go back to YouTube. I think he's on Facebook, but definitely on YouTube, J.D. Rockwell Radio Program, and look at that interview. I don't make comparisons. You know what I'm saying?
No, Brother James, you all are doing a magnificent job as well. Trust me. I've seen some of the previous episodes. You're doing very, very well. Praise be to Allah. You all are.
Praise is due to Allah. So it's my great privilege to, again, if you want to respond to what we've just read in the bio, to expand on some of that history. But I want to turn the interview over to our dear sister, Stala Muhammad. Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. Brother Michael, we're going to hit the ground rolling here. We already have questions coming in, so I don't want to belabor. This first one I think is a good one to kind of familiarize people who maybe don't know the origin story of Final Call Radio. But we have a question from Sister Sabrina Brown Muhammad, who asks, how did the vision of Final Call Radio come about? And then she continues, Final Call Radio was such a necessary alternative, giving short clips of the minister's lectures to meet the needs of a quick moving society that does not have the capacity to listen to 2 or 3 hour lectures. So well, I guess we'll start there, the origin story of Final Call Radio.
Yes, ma'am. So, and thank you for the question. It was really back in 2001, believe it or not. It was in a dream, and I didn't know what the dream meant until probably 14 years later. But in 2001, I had a dream. I was leaving work in Detroit, and as I got to the corner and I was getting ready to get on the freeway to go home, in the dream, the minister was standing there on the corner. And I opened the door, and I told him I was surprised to see him out there alone. There was no FOI or, no one. He was just there. So he got in the car, and I took him to my home. And on the way to my home, I woke up and tried to decipher the dream. And at that time, I could not. I didn't understand it. In 2001, I think, again, I had another dream where I was sitting behind a crescent-shaped desk. And in front of me were the FOI. They had on suits and bow ties and white shirts, and they were going upstairs. And when I got in line, I noticed that the stairs were extraordinarily large.
Wow.
And but as I went up the stairs, to my left, there was a dark room, and to the right, the door was just ajar enough for me to see light coming from that room and from up under the doorway. So, of course, I went to the room with the light. And when I opened the door, there sitting in 2 chairs was the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was holding out his arm, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was leaning into the minister, and the minister was holding him. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was breathing. I could see his chest inhaling and exhaling. And at that time, I had not read the book, Is It Possible That the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Still Physically Alive? But that dream said to me when I woke up, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is alive. I saw it in my dream.
Allahu Akbar.
And but I had never heard anyone really say that at that time, but I believed it from that dream. And the minister in the dream looked at me and he said, "We feel you, brother, but it's not time." He said, "Go back and finish your work, but it is not time right now." So he sent me back downstairs and I went behind that crescent desk, and there were lights and bulbs and knobs and buttons that I had never seen before. But I felt like I belonged there, but I didn't know what to do with those instruments that were sitting in front of me. And then I woke up. Well, in 2000, and all this time I'm thinking I want to help the minister. And I would always pray to Allah to give me the spirit to help the minister, but give me a double portion of the spirit.
Yes, sir.
Of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the spirit of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to help our nation and to help him. And one day with the minister, I remembered my dreams, and I told him specifically about the one going upstairs. And I said, "But brother minister, I don't know what those dreams meant. I don't know if there was an airplane or what." He said, and before I could almost finish saying I didn't know what they were, he said, "It's a radio station, brother."
Wow.
He said, "You have your work to do." He said, "But you can't come be with us right now because you have your work to do." He said, "I can go, I get to go, but not you, not yet. You go back and do your work." But that's a radio station. That's what that means. And shortly after that, I started putting it together, and I said, "Oh, him riding in my vehicle, radio is my vehicle," because I've done that for so long, since I was 15 or 16 years old. And he was riding in my vehicle, which now is called Final Call Radio. And those big steps, Final Call Radio was a big step. And those knobs, I think, represented, this is something I've never done before because of the technology. I've had to learn so much about streaming and the automation system that runs Final Call Radio and so many other things. Programming, I know, but the technology is what I had to catch up to and learn and study. But that's where it ultimately came from. And I'm just blessed to serve in this capacity, to work with the minister's messages, because you talk about 2-3 hours, sometimes 5 and 6 hour messages, to use those as, make those into clips. I want to be mindful and careful to start off in a place where you can understand what he's talking about, and then end where it does not cut him off, and then it does not make any sense of what he just said. But being careful not to cut him off and edit him incorrectly is the best way to put it. And I'm always, thinking and rethinking about what the editing process should look like. But I will be honest with you, I get caught up in the message. And I will go longer, and I'll look up and it's 45 minutes into the message, and I'm trying to get the message down to 12 minutes or 15 minutes, because the other part of it was for me was, I remember the minister delivering a message in New York, and he referred to himself as a lovely song, or his messages as a lovely song. Yes. And that was the other thing that made me think, what if I edited these like we do music? And instead of playing music, we're playing clips of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And between those messages, we have testimonials from believers or lost founds, whoever would like to call and say where they're from, give the greetings, say where they're from, what mosque, or promote whatever they have. And we talk about their cities and things that are going on. We are so blessed to have, Brother Abdul Muhammad on Final Call Radio now, giving us an update on his situation with being terminated as a principal in the Chicago school system. And justice for AbdulMuhammad.com is something that we're proud of and to promote on Final Call Radio for our brother, because that's really what Final Call Radio is about. But I'm so thankful and grateful to take what I've been taught by our enemies, and they have done a fantastic job teaching me research, technology, art, science, all kinds of unique things that the people don't know about programming, rotations, repetition, and to put it to the benefit of our use for our nation of Islam.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All praises to
Allahu Akbar. Thank you, dear brother.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
keep it going. We got the questions coming in, and I'm going to share this one next from our dear sister, Nikisha X. She said, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Michael. Is there a way to get transcripts of lectures played for the day on Final Call Radio? I love listening to the minister, but sometimes I miss the name of the lecture to go back to it later to hear the full lecture. A second question is, how is the programming lineup of the lectures determined?
Yes, sir. Well, alaikum salam. The first question, I'll take that. The answer is yes, I can. If you email me at saundersradio@gmail.com, I can try to get some of those clips. As far as the full lecture, you probably have to go to store.finalcallradio.com. But I would be happy to provide a clip or two. I can't tell you how many believers reach out and say, can you send me that clip? Or they'll take a screenshot of the title of that clip, and they'll go and search it for themselves. And I think I said last week, a brother, he was like, brother, can you play that clip again around 8:30? Because if I tell my wife what the minister said, it's not going to come across the same. But if she heard it for herself, it may benefit me greatly, brother. So let me know if you can play that clip around 8:30, 8:45 when we're in the car on our way to MGT class. So we've been pretty strategic in helping out there. The second question of how the programming lineup of the lectures is determined, it's, we have it set up where it's based on the eras. It's based on, the most current, I think, of 2019 to his last lecture, 2024, 2023. And then we go back to the 90s, the 2000s, the 80s, and a few from the 70s. And I can't, if I find a lecture, either if I'm on YouTube or if I hear something that's going on in the news, I'll reach out to Brother Hassan in Chicago and ask me to send the full message or the clip of what I'm looking for. When Donahue died, I went looking for the Phil Donahue message in the interview, and we ran that. Something happens with the weather, that's easy to find clips about. Watch the weather. If it's something I think that we're going through as a nation, male-female relationships, obviously he has a lot of messages on that. The interesting thing is the minister does not have to do, as I've put together, been blessed to put together Final Call Radio by Allah's grace and mercy. Minister has touched on everything. And if we find it, we put it on Final Call Radio and let it play. There are messages that I've heard before, but they are different today. It's like reading the Holy Quran. I tell you, I read the Quran and say, that was never in there before. I've never seen that before. Somebody just added that. But of course, we know we are just catching up to, and for me, I'm maturing to that point in the Final Call. But it's that way with the minister's messages. There are times when I hear messages that I don't remember putting those clips in. And it's me hearing that clip for the very first time, although I know I put it in, but it catches me off guard too and by surprise.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, dear brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Brother Michael, to reach 150 countries in such a short amount of time as 5 years, to me is phenomenal, but it also shows the impact of the Nation of Islam, the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as exemplified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I was looking up, I said, well, there's 150 countries. How many countries are there on the planet? And according to Google, they had the number at 195. So
That's right.
150 out of 195 is just phenomenal. My
Yes.
question to you is, as Final Call Radio was getting started, and as you started getting data from different countries, people from different countries who were tuning in, were there any particular countries that even surprised you that, oh my goodness, there's people in that particular country that are tuning in to Final Call Radio?
Yes, ma'am. I think I know when I started seeing the Middle East, listening Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and certainly Iran, Iraq was one that probably surprised me because of all the devastation they've had. And for them to have the technology to pick up and pull down Final Call Radio, that was pretty shocking to me. I think Sweden was another one. The minister asked, had Germany been on? And at that time, I told him, no, sir, I had not seen Germany. But then a week or 2 weeks later, Germany was there. The other surprise was Russia, but the ultimate surprise was Israel.
Wow.
And them listening. And I won't, I got, I was looking around. I called Supreme Captain on that one because I said, listen, I just want to let you know, and then that was early, that was probably year 1, year 2. And I said, man, I didn't know it was going to be like this. He said, oh, yes. He said, this is very serious, brother. He said, we're not playing around. He said, they want to know what's going on too. They know. And he gave me some more words and, but Israel was the one that really was the most shocking for me, I think. But that's probably the one area that I get up first thing in the morning and look after the report comes out, what new countries have joined on. The latest country this year was Chad over in Africa, and they were the ones who took us up to 150 countries. But and then there's some countries I can't pronounce. I was embarrassed. I said, man, I thought I could read. I can't even say these names. Got to go back to school. So, but there are countries I've never heard of before that caused me to look them up and see what they are about. We have the ability to, because it is a Google platform, we can drill down we can drill down to the very street that the connection is coming from, because we can see the IP addresses of those who connect to Final Call Radio. So we can see the tower or their IP address to where they are. And it's been one, I want to say it was in Morocco, I believe, that we were able to pinpoint a mosque that was very close to that IP address. So a connection is just one connection, but we don't know if there are people who are more than one person listening to Final Call Radio. So obviously in my home, my wife and I are listening to Final Call Radio. It's on one connection, but there are two people listening. And so we can't really determine how many people, but we know how many connections, and we're approaching 10 million connections after about 5 or 6 years. So
all praise is due to Allah. Yes, sir.
That's wonderful. Praise be to
but
Allah.
but listen, the minister is something, because obviously, and I'll share with you this. About a month ago, I had another dream, and this time the minister was driving me in my car. And I called a brother and I said, "What?" And he's excellent at deciphering these dreams, and he couldn't decipher the other dreams. I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Oh, that's easy." He said, "The minister is driving Final Call Radio now. And it's still your vehicle, but he's driving."
Yes, sir.
And I said, all praise is due to Allah. And that's an actual fact.
Allahu Akbar. Divine revelation. Praise be to Allah. Brother Michael, in the terms as far as the radio industry and service to the nation, I wanted to ask, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that media has the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. How do you see the Final Call Radio as a corrective to the misrepresentation of Black people and Islam in the mainstream media?
Beautiful question.
Yes, sir. Beautiful.
I see Final Call Radio as a criteria. And it's like, here's what we have versus here's what the world is offering. And it's like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if you offer the people a dirty glass of water, they will drink it. But if you offer them a clean glass, they will drink from the clean glass. And I think Final Call Radio, I pray, is that clean glass to where once we really get this going and start marketing it and unveiling phase 2 and phase 3 of Final Call Radio, the people will see. But as the times that we're living in, as America continues to fall, as the book says, fallen.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's already happened.
That's right.
People start to realize that this America has fallen. Not falling, but has fallen. I don't know if the people, we really know that yet, but it has fallen. But so as we recognize that and we start looking for help and guidance, I think that's when they will come to Final Call Radio and say, here's the guidance, the help that we need. Because rapping and singing, that's beautiful, but there's no instruction in that for the times that are awaiting us, unfortunately. But what the minister has, it's going to be life, and it is, and has proven to be life-saving teachings, because I can bear witness to that in my personal life. So I pray that as the times continue, Final Call Radio will be something that people will pull from and use it as a criteria. I can have this, or I can have something that will actually save my life.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. Brother Student Minister Chad and Sister Stala, I remember in Orlando when we were blessed to meet our dear brother, I immediately wanted to induct him into the ministry. Yeah. And I even brought him up to the rostrum, and let him open up. He had no idea what I was going to do. But, I thought that this was where, he could make his contribution. Little did I know, in my narrow and immature understanding of what ministry really was and the broad scope of ministry as it is expressed in the various avenues of ministry. The minister had told him how he was going to be, in effect, a minister, but in a different kind of way. Brother Michael, if you could share with us how the minister saw that and how he saw you and your contribution.
Well, first of all, I got to address what you just said. I want you to know, Brother Chad, Sister Starla, I was on my way to the mosque one Sunday morning. And my wife and I was just thinking, I said, man, I wonder what Brother James is going to teach about today. It's going to be beautiful as usual, whatever it is.
Oh, praises.
And then Brother James called me. He said, brother, I gave me the greetings. He said, I need you to open up this morning. Open up what, Brother James? You got a juice or what do you? I open up right now. No, I need you to open up, brother.
Yes.
So that's how he brought that to me, and of course I had to obey my instructions. So praise be to Allah.
Yes.
Thank you, Brother.
Did
James.
a wonderful job too, I might add.
Praise be
to Allah. But no, I think it was in '96. After the Million Man March, I've been watching and studying from 92 to 96. And I told Supreme, I said, I want to join the nation. I'm ready to come in. And of course, I didn't know anything about writing a letter to the Savior. I didn't know about recitation, orientation class, and process. I didn't know any of that. No one had ever said anything to me about that. So I said, I'm just going to tell Supreme that I want, and he was the assistant Supreme at the time. I said, I'm just going to tell him I want to come in the nation, and let me come in and I'll get my suit and bow tie and get my name and my X, and that's it. I'm set. So he said, well, my father's really responsible for you. So you're his fish. So I'm going to put you in a meeting that he's having this evening. And he said, I'm not going to be in that meeting because I've got another assignment that my father put me on, but I'm going to put you in that meeting at the palace and you have a conversation with him. And I said, yes, sir. So I'm sitting in this meeting, and as I'm looking around, I'm seeing, student ministers in all the major cities. I'm seeing all the laborers, captains, sister captains. I said, man, this is a very important meeting. It is nothing but the laborers in here. I mean, there's top officials in here and me. What is going on? I mean, and they're in suits, and the sisters are in their uniforms, and I'm in here with a sport coat on and a sweater. But I'm determined to ask the minister about me coming in the nation. So after dinner, I went up to him as we were all leaving. And when it was my turn, because we had a line, of course, and I said, brother minister, I'm ready to come into the nation, and I want to help you and the nation. I'm willing to quit my job, give up my name. I'm willing to get out and sell papers. So whatever you need me to do, I'm ready to do it. But I know I'm ready to come into the nation. I see what's going on. I want to help you and our nation. And I said, I'm ready to give it all up. I'm ready to quit my job. I'm ready to go. And he said, brother, he said, you're already in the nation. Mm-hmm. He said, look around. So I'm looking around the palace and I see all the laborers. And he said, you can't get any deeper in the nation than where you already are.
Look at that.
And he said, if I brought you in the nation and changed your name, you will not be allowed to get to where you're going to go. He said, if you come into the nation would have to take care of you. He said, but if you stay where you are, you might be in a position one day to help take care of the nation.
Look at that. Wow.
And Sister Star, you heard me say this in Chicago that night. I was hurt. I was like, man, the minister don't want me. Oh man. What if I know I haven't been perfect, but man, I'll do better. Come on. But I said, fine. That's what it is. But he told student minister Dawood Muhammad, who was the student minister in Detroit at that time, at Mosque Number 1, who I really didn't know that well, but I knew of him, and we had some interaction because I was in Detroit, and of course so was he, but I'd only met him maybe once. And he just happened to be standing beside me and heard the whole conversation. Mm-hmm. And he said, that's right, brother minister, because he's a big helper and he's done everything we need him to do on the radio. The minister put his hand up like, just stop. Mm-hmm. And he said, I know. He said, but allow him access to all the meetings, the believers meetings, whatever, wherever he wants to go, let him in. And I didn't know about the believers only meetings. And so I didn't know what that meant. And Brother Dawood was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we went back to Detroit, and he and I went to dinner, and we had a beautiful conversation, and we got to work. And I'm sure, it's Brother James, you and I talk about this all the time. It's so strange to be registered in the nation and a nation's program number and going to the believers only meetings, but having this name Saunders and carrying the slave name. And, and now with Final Call Radio, Brother Michael Saunders is, man, the believers be looking at me like, what is going on here? Who are you? Like, what's happening? And I told the minister this 2 years ago, and he said, take plenty, brother, just take plenty. And I said, yes, sir, say no more. So whatever he asked me to do, wherever he asked me to stay, I stay. Whenever he says go, I go. And I don't question it anymore. Yes. Just like I know it is what it is. And I'm just thankful to serve in this capacity, thankful to serve our nation. And for those who have listened to Final Call Radio or given $1 or a dime, we're just so grateful and so thankful, and all those who work with us on Final Call Radio and help to launch this and continue to work on it. I'm so grateful and thankful for them as well, and for those who have spread the word. I've heard so many people tell me, someone comes up to them and says, "Tell me about the Nation of Islam." They'll tell them, "Turn on Final Call Radio."
Yes, sir.
The one thing, the one brother who called, I felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest, and I still get emotional when I think about it, because this brother said, "Man, I was going blind, and I was worried about how I was going to read the Final Call newspaper, my Quran, my Bible." But then he said, "Here comes Final Call Radio."
Come on.
Yes, sir.
Man, that just, when he left that message for me, I said, "Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar."
That's right.
All praises due to Allah. As we are going to entertain more questions from our viewing and listening audience, just an update to for those of you who are tuning in at this time. We're at the top of the second hour. And Brother Michael, you did know this was 2 hours.
I did not. No. Brother James, you told me 15 minutes. You said 15 minutes.
He told you was just opening up, huh?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we just have to use subterfuge, you know.
Yes, sir.
But don't be upset, brother, because
I'm
you're in good company, because that's what we did with Sister Starla.
They sure did, Brother Michael.
I believe it. I know Brother James. I know him well. He hasn't changed.
That's right. But yes, and hopefully, real talk, serious talk. Since I didn't tell you that, I kind of assumed, if you will, that that you knew it was. But I don't want to encroach upon your time unexpectedly. But we sure would love you to stay for the duration, if you can.
Yes, sir. You got me, brother. I'm here. So if you have me, I'll be right here. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
So for those of you who are tuning in at this hour, again, this is the top of the second hour of the broadcast, Closing the Gap broadcast. We are blessed to be hosting our dear brother, Michael Saunders, the executive director of the Final Call Radio program. And for those of you who may not have been aware of it or know about it, which is difficult to believe, but if there are those in the audience, if we could just put that information up again as to how we can access the Final Call Radio. I know it's a radio at FC. Well, there it is, radio.finalcall.com. Just go to your phone or your device and go to your app store and download it. And you can avail yourself of the most inspirational, in my humble opinion, inspirational and problem-solving messages of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, not only for Black people, but for all people who would lend an ear. Once again, go to radio.finalcall.com. And so thank you for tuning in, and let's continue. Going to turn it back over to our dear brother and sister Starla Muhammad and Brother Student Minister Chad Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Brother Michael, for those of us who, of course, are familiar with Final Call Radio and the tremendous blessing it is, what is it that you need from us who are supporters of Final Call Radio to get it to this 195? We got, what, 40 some more countries to go? But what do you need for us? How can we help, whether it is donations, whether it is recording testimonials? I know I get excited when I get a text message from Final Call General Manager, Brother Abdul Rasul Muhammad. Usually it's around the time of the radiothon, and he says, you know, do a brief, 30-second testimonial and send it in. So what can we do to help?
Oh, wonderful question. Selfishly, the one thing I love are those testimonials.
Yes.
If you can record testimonials about Final Call Radio, what it does for you, your family, what is the trigger that makes you go to Final Call Radio every day? What thought comes up in your mind to make you think about Final Call Radio that you want to go to it? Email me that testimonial at saundersradio@gmail.com. Saunders, SAUNDERS radio@gmail.com. And leave me a recording of what Final Call Radio means to you. That selfishly, I love hearing our nation on Final Call Radio being broadcast to the world. I love hearing your voice next to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's voice. I love, 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 love that. The other part is to let everyone know by word of mouth. That is the greatest marketing tool in the history of marketing, is word of mouth, and letting your family, your friends, your coworkers know about it. And of course, donations. We definitely use those donations to keep Final Call Radio on the air. The streaming company costs money. The automation system, the scheduling system, all of that costs money to program Final Call Radio, because it is not just something that we put in a computer and let the computer choose the clips and the messages. There's rules and policies on each one of those clips, just like we do secular radio, the music there. So we keep them in a solid and good rotation, so we don't burn out one message. And now we have thousands and thousands of clips. We just added some of the new clips. Well, they're clips that we ran last year, but as we come up on the, I believe, 40th anniversary of the minister's more than a vision experience. So I've just put those clips in that will start tomorrow. And all of those have rules and policies on them as well. So, spreading the word and giving us your testimonials, that's what we love most.
All praises due to Allah. Brother Michael, how can we donate?
You can go to radio.finalcall.com. Scroll down. There's a donate button there. You can choose the amount that you'd like to donate, and put in your amount. No amount is too small. No amount is too large. So whatever is on your heart, whatever Allah puts on your heart, your spirit, please, 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 we would appreciate it.
All praises due to Allah. Very good.
All right, dear brother. Just dealing with your personal mission and the legacy. You once said that I always wanted to help our nation, and certainly help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and give it to our nation and the believers and everyone who listen. How do you balance being both a veteran of secular music and also a servant to a divine mission?
Excellent question.
Excellent question. I tell you, when we launched Final Call Radio, and I was at the time programming a hip hop station, hip hop and R&B. So it was the Sexy Reds, and y'all should know who these people are. Brother Ted, you should not be laughing that hard. You should not. I was telling Supreme Captain, I said, if you heard of Megan Thee Stallion, he said, no, who is that? I was like, exactly. Very good, sir. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. But to program these songs by Glorilla and Cardi B and Sexy Red and Megan Thee Stallion, and even our brothers, and the language that is being used. I mean, it was so bad. My wife asked me one day, she said, 20 years ago, you used to listen to music to determine whether or not you were going to play it on your radio. She said, I don't hear you playing music anymore. I said, I'm not. I can't with you around, because the lyrics are just so bad. So I have to put the headphones on. Yeah. And even I was cringing. Right. And it dawned on me. I said, in one day, in the mornings, I'm working on secular music. But then in the evening, I'm working on Final Call radio and editing the minister's clips. And then during COVID, because we were all working from home, throughout the day, I would be scheduling secular music, secular hip hop and R&B music, but listening to the minister for clips and editing clips. And I told my wife, I said, I'm in the middle of two worlds.
Come on.
One world going out, one world coming up. One world going down, the other one coming up. And I said, this is hard on my soul because I feel like I'm being pulled, even though I know the direction I want to go in, but I'm over here dealing with this, and scriptures talk about serving two masters.
Yes.
And I'm like, I can't do this. So again, I started praying to Allah, and maybe a few years later, I actually got fired from the hip hop and R&B job. And the same day I got fired, a company called me about coming to work for them. And then on the following Monday, another company called. And it just so happens to be that this company and station I work for is more about R&B, and it is more palatable to my soul when I do this work, because now we play music from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s for the most part. And even the currents that we play are not rap. They're not, they don't have lyrics that are explicit. And so this is a little more palatable, a lot more palatable to me. But make no mistake about it, that was troubling to my soul to have the minister here, but then this the negative messages from hip hop and our brothers and sisters. And I love our hip hop community. They are fantastic. We just have to remind them of who they are, and hopefully change the message that they're delivering, because they are powerful, powerful people. And as the minister said, they're leaders in their own right. Yes. And I think he even said, one of their rap songs is like 1,000 of his messages.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So he gave me instructions once. He told me to ask the hip hop community to clean up their lyrics and let them know that if they clean up their lyrics, we program directors would play their music. And so when I was in New York, Jay-Z would come by the station. I would tell him, brother, if you clean up your music, you ain't got to cuss, because you edit out the cussing anyway. So you ain't got to be so hard on the sisters. Give us something that we can, use. You have a great business mind. If you rapped about that, so we would learn how to be good, strong, smart businessmen and women, use that and I'll play it. I told LL Cool J the same thing, and LL does a really good job, or did back then, where his music wasn't explicit anyway. Fat Joe, Irv Gotti, may Allah be pleased with him. Yeah. I told them all and gave the message that the minister gave me to give to them.
Praise be to Allah. I was laughing real hard at first, Brother Michael, because, music is my background too. I actually worked at the largest studio in Tampa, Florida for about 15 years and helped started it. So, and we will be there. DJ Khaled come up in his blue Phantom, and we recorded I'm So Hood there, because we did a lot of Plies music. So program directors come in. I mean, we was in the Source magazine for the studio, and it's still running. Like, it's a long running studio where a lot of them closed down. But we'll record people, and it's just how you say, you listen to this all day. It's uninspiring, and you try to talk to them, and I done invited some out, and some even got registered, registered in the Nation of Islam when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came here for Holy Day of Atonement.
Right.
Yes,
but it's something, because they in there, and they might have to go outside. Hey, let me get my mind right, and I'm gonna come back. they getting their mind right is way different from us when we think about
we get our mind right. Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I eventually had to leave it because it was just too uninspiring. Like, I didn't feel. And I was a rapper at one time and a producer. So we would produce, we would engineer, and then I had to rap on certain songs. But to produce a song that in my heart, I feel like this is going to be a good song for the ladies. And then they would get the beat and rap about some street stuff. I'm like, wait, how did you hear some stuff on this smooth? It's real chill and something for the lady.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
Absolutely. Yes.
I feel you on a lot of it, brother.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, but we played a lot of plies when I was down in Orlando. We were at the at 102 Jams. It was a rhythmic radio station. Played a little hip hop and top 40 combined. Before the station I was at when Brother James and I met was at Star 94.5. We were
Yes, sir.
Urban AC, which that music was more palatable, more tolerable. You know, we were playing the Johnny Gills and the Jill Scotts and those. But man, when Plies was hot, we were definitely running Plies and T-Pain and all that music, and definitely DJ Khaled.
All praises due to Allah.
Yes.
My dear brother, as we read one more excerpt from your bio, it reads, Michael Saunders, a veteran radio programmer, has recently taken on the role of director of branding and programming at KISS 104.1 and WALR-FM in Atlanta. Starting on the launching of WWPR Power 105.1 New York, was named one of the Barrett Media's top urban hip hop radio program directors of 2024. That, of course, was conferred upon you. Crescent Award recipient, also a Crescent Award recipient for community work in Detroit, and inducted into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. Now, what I wanted to ask you, and these are wonderful accomplishments.
Praise be to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. But did the fact that you were ostensibly representing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I mean, you really couldn't hide it. Nor did you have a desire to hide, but did that affect that kind of recognition in any kind of way?
No, I don't think so, because, you know, I think now I don't have anything to say except the teachings. And they're not just limited to the mosque or around the believers. I really don't have anything of value to say except for what you all have taught me and what the ministers taught me and what I've studied by Allah's grace. And I'll tell you, Brother James, if you look at any of those so-called accolades, none of those happened until after the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
None of those. Yes. And so, you know, my whole approach after meeting the minister, after being around student ministers and so many beautiful believers, and watching our mosque meetings, our believers only meetings, and, you know, all of that, those things have been applied to my management style. Mm-hmm. And so I try to do unto others as I'd want someone to do unto me. And that's how I manage people. And I think, you know, I have programming meetings every week, and I open up with quotes. And a lot of times those quotes are from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yes. Now, there in New York, the people I worked for up there, they were Jews. And I remember opening up with a quote from the minister, and I put at the bottom, a friend. And I felt bad after I did it. And I was blessed to be with the minister a few weeks or months later. And I told him, I said, you know, Brother Minister, I open up with your quotes, but I never tell them who they are from, because I feel like they will reject the quote or the message.
Yes.
But I don't feel good in doing that. And he said, no, it's about getting the message out. That's what you do. Get the message. Don't worry about the messenger. He said, just get the message out. And I started reading about what is an FOI in our handbook, and there are those who work behind enemy lines, and that's how I see
Yes.
myself.
Come on, brother. Yes, sir.
And so I got to be strategic in the way
Yes.
I present the teachings, because they may not accept what the teachings are in that form. So I try to be thoughtful and skillful in the way that I deliver it. I'm not trying to be a fool and come in here and say, hey, but there are days when I say, what the hell you doing eating pork? What is that, a pork? Like what? Because that I can't help. I'm like, look, this is just going to come out. I'm sorry. I'm like, are you crazy? What the hell what is going on? And then I have to calm down, because I'm like, yeah, you certainly shouldn't be doing that. But now it is, but the ones who are working with me, they know, because you're right, I can't hide it. Brothers call me, I forget, and go, assalamu alaikum. And they look, and now it's just no big deal. But I'm not ashamed. There have been those when I was in New York who came to me and said, may have saw something on my desk that had the minister's name on it or something. And one white guy, he said, oh, I don't like him. I don't like him. And I said, who? He said, Farrakhan. I said, what is it about him that you don't like? I just don't like him. I said, well, when you met him, what did you not like about him? I never met him. I said, well, how can you not like someone you've never met?
That's right.
And he said, how do you feel about me? Oh, you're my man. We're cool, man. You're great. I said, well, I want you to know that the reason I am the way I am is because of that man.
That's right.
And so I'm trying to be more like him. And then all of a sudden you see that barrier come down. They start asking questions like, well, why is that? And they'd say, well, why? And you start asking, why do you not like him? And obviously the propaganda wheel of the media has put that in their heads. But, I try to be skillful with it. But there are times when I kind of lose patience, and I'm not going to be radical, but, I'm going to be a little more firm. But that's my brother.
That's right.
And I love him. And that love comes out.
That's right. It's a wonderful response and answer, dear brother. It speaks to 2 points, one of which is the humility of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in that demonstration and instruction and response to you, as you shared with him how you felt about how you may indirectly kind of, I guess, hid a little bit, not hid, but were very diplomatic in terms of your expression of your representation of him. But the minister, the Messiah, is such an example of humility, in that his main concern is you getting the message to him. And that really has a profound effect on me, because I remember when it was in 1991, where before, of course, our dear brother was a student minister, as he is now, student minister Chad. I was sent from New York to Tampa to be the student minister there. And I met with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at the airport. And he said to me, such wonderful instruction. He said, brother, he told me, come on. He said, brother minister, come sit down. I sat down there, but I was overwhelmed,
That's right. That's
and he
right.
said, brother, now when you go to Tampa, brother, he said, don't use my name, use Jesus. And I'm saying, in my mind, of course, I wouldn't verbalize, don't use your name. I'm going to represent. I'm not going to use your name. I'm going to represent you. This is what he's thinking. But he said, no, dear brother. He said, you're saying the same thing. It's the same person in words, And then he said, look at it this way. He said, you're at a bus station and you're on your way to Detroit, and you know that the people there who have other destinations really need to go to Detroit. He said, so they're lined up at a station in anticipation of getting on the bus to Washington. This is what he said. He said, so what are you going to do? He said, are you going to be like a crazy man? Say, look, turn your tickets in. You don't really want to go to Washington.
Right.
Where you really want to go is to Detroit. And he said, brother, he said, just get on the bus going to Detroit and change the heading to Washington.
Beautiful.
And then get everybody on the bus. And when everybody's on the bus, turn it back to Detroit and take them where you know they need to go.
Beautiful.
That was some wonderful advice that I wish, you know, in my immaturity that I would have obeyed. Well, when I hit Tampa, and Brother Chad, you know some of my history. When I hit Tampa, it was like, look, Farrakhan is the man.
Right.
And you better not say anything negative.
Right.
At all about him. You know, I was.
Yeah.
But
yes, sir.
There was great wisdom in what he was instructing me to do and how he was instructing me to do it. And that, again, attests to the humility.
Yes, sir.
Of the man, you know.
Absolutely.
So I definitely can understand, you know, how he responded to you. Get the message.
He said, just get the message out. And I tell you that the man, he was over all of it. We had about 5 New York radio stations at that time, and he was over all of them. And when I did my presentation, I said I opened up with the minister's words as a quote, and then I went on with my presentation. That man called me after my presentation was over. He called me in my office several hours later. He said, that quote you used, and I just knew he was going to say that was Minister Farrakhan's quote, but he said, that quote you used. I said, yes. He said, I need you to send that to me because I want to open up with that quote at the financial meetings in Texas next week.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. I said, I most certainly will. I'll have that to you within about 10 minutes. Because I wanted him to use that quote.
Yes, sir.
Open up with it at the corporate meetings for the financial people. And I said, you know, the minister's words are so powerful. We can tell people what the minister said and it resonates with them. We can read what the minister says and it resonates. But that word of his, and through his teacher, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the God is so powerful. That's how you know it's real.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Praise be to Allah.
All praise is due to Allah. Well, today, you know, I mean, it's a foregone conclusion who the Messiah is.
That's right.
In our midst. I mean, you know, come on. There's too much biblical support, too much Quranic support, too much political support, social support. You know who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is, if anything, by his enemies.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You know who he is.
That's true.
Right. Let's continue on. We got about maybe 15 more minutes or so before we go into our closing announcements. So go ahead, Sister Sala, Brother Student Minister Chad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Michael, you had mentioned earlier that there are some additional phases to Final Call Radio that you're looking at. And I know, of course, you can't go into details in terms of, you know, exact details, but can you maybe talk maybe in generalities in terms of some things that you're looking at for the future? And once again, if there's any assistance or help, you know, that you need in terms of, are there people with, you know, certain skill sets or backgrounds that you need to assist in anything that you need with these upcoming phases?
Yes, ma'am. Just to be general, I mean, we want to make Final Call Radio a full-fledged radio station.
Yes.
And all that you've seen in radio stations, as you walk through, if any of you have been in radio stations, that's what our vision is for Final Call Radio. It is not something that we want to have it live on our computers solely, but we want it to be a full-fledged radio station, because just like these secular radio stations, they are suffering with, loss of finance, loss of revenue, loss of talent. And we want to be the opposite. We want to come in and grow our Final Call Radio, fully staff it from, salespeople to promotions to marketing, more programming people. We want a complete radio station, and we want to be able to provide tours at the end of the day and have live broadcasts, and have students from Muhammad University and all over the country come in, take tours, and see how beautiful Final Call Radio is, and explain to them what Final Call Radio is and what it does, and how maybe one day they could work there as well. Because for me, my career in radio started when I was in high school. And you can't imagine to be a sophomore in high school in the 10th grade and being on the radio every weekend. And then my senior year, after football season, I was on the radio every night from 6 p.m. to midnight on a little AM station in a hometown of 6,000 people. And I thought that was it. I was getting into movies free because of my popularity. I was getting free food at, the fast food restaurants. I was like, and I'm rich. I'm making, $190 a week. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. This is the truth. I met with my mother and father when I got that full-time job. And I sat them down at the table. I said, listen, things are going to change. I said, we're rich. We are rich now. I make $190 a week. I said, so Mama, whatever you need, I got it. Daddy, whatever you need, it's done. You're good. I said, we're set. I said, Daddy, don't feel funny now that I'm the breadwinner of the family. Because I had no idea what he did. And he was a truck driver. So, he was doing well. So my mother, not wanting to hurt my feelings, she said, well, I tell you what you do. She said, you buy all the things you like. You buy your milk, you buy your clothes, and you keep gas in your car and all that. And we'll see what happens after that. And I was broke. I said, oh my God. I said, I hope they don't ask me for anything. I wanted to avoid them, but I couldn't because I lived there. Oh, boy. I was hoping they wouldn't ask me for anything, and they didn't, because I was so silly and had no idea.
Yes, sir.
But man, I mean, living at home with my mother, making that kind of money, in my mind, I really was rich. So,
yes, sir.
But I look at that and think about all of the children that are coming up and understanding there's more to radio than just being on the radio.
Right.
Yes.
So much work behind the scenes, but it's the same with the Final Call newspaper. It's the same with television, but I would love to see us have our own radio and television and newspaper studios all together, and we're under one roof in one building. And that's what part of my vision is. I would love to see that, because I told Supreme, I said, Final Call Radio is not here to replace Final Call newspaper. It's here to complement it and work together with it. So I'm so thankful for my brother, Abdul Rasul Muhammad. He's such a beautiful brother. And I text him and he texts right back, calls right back. And I love working with him and his dedication to Final Call Radio, and certainly to the Final Call newspaper.
Yes. Yes. All praises due to Allah.
Allahu Akbar. All right. Just thinking about today's title, where we have how beautiful,
yes, sir,
on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news. In the Holy Quran it says, and we have not sent thee but as a bringer of good news and as a warner to all mankind.
That's right.
And that's in Surah 34 verse 28. Now, how do you see the Final Call Radio as fulfilling this scripture, and taking the message once confined to like halls and mosques and transmitting it now worldwide?
Yes.
Come on. I mean, I think about what Master Fard Muhammad said.
Yes,
cleanliness, sir. Internally, externally.
Come on.
Right down to the modern times, he said.
Yes, sir.
And, I think about that, and here we are with this technology. And I think about the minister saying the first night that when he stood up, he said he wanted to take this message to every nook and cranny. And now that's what it seems to be doing, even though the word is augmented, but it's still hitting every nook and cranny that I know I wasn't going to be able to reach. The minister has touched these places. But when you think about England and how they wanted to keep him out of London, I think it was, but he's there every day, all the time, because I see the stats. His word, and I mean, he's been there through cassette tapes and so on and so forth, but
yes, sir.
The UK is only second to, I think, the United States when it comes to listenership. Wow. Final Call Radio. So he is there by Allah's grace. But to deliver this message on this platform like this is something I would have never imagined, but it is the good news for real for those
That's right.
of us who understand and believe. But I look at Brother James. I think you and I were talking about this before, where things have happened to us to bring out what is in us.
Yes, sir.
Because I know for me, the trials that I've gone through, I never would have maybe uncovered and discovered Final Call Radio. But because of some of the trials, this is in me that I did not know, and now it's out. And all of us here have gone through trials, and we look at what was in our minds, and now it's out. Because it's one thing to have it in your brain or in your mind, but to be able to bring it forth and send it, and it has great benefit to the people, is something. Because I was telling somebody, this word is a weighty word. And I think the Quran says it is the weightiest of words because it serves all of humanity worldwide. It does not say it serves humanity in the South or on the West Coast or down in Florida or it says worldwide.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
And when I see Final Call Radio, because of our beloved minister and his messages that he's been, teaching for over what has been 70 years.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's right.
Alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir.
Allahu Akbar. I mean, and now here we are again, presenting it, what he has already said. But my wife told me one day, she said, did the minister just record that? I said, no, that was from 1990 something. She said it sounded like he just recorded it today, for today.
Yes, sir.
I said, but that's the power of that word. And Allah's working through a man to deliver a word and a message. So I'm just, again, I'm beyond words to be grateful and thankful to serve in this capacity, and to serve our nation, to serve the people, because I always wanted to help. I told Mother Khadijah years ago, I said, there's a way we can get the minister in syndication so he doesn't have to travel so much. He can stay at home and just go in his office and give the word, and they'll go out all over the world on syndication. And Mother Khadijah was like, I would love that. And the minister said, yeah, well, that'd be nice, but I still got to get out and travel. I still So, and I think I shared last week that we had Final Call Radio up maybe a week or a few days, and Supreme called me and he had the minister on the phone, and I was excited because I was like, you got the minister's voice, 24/7, and that's all you hear is the minister, the minister, the minister. And to your point, Brother James, in his humility, he said to me, I said, what did you think? What do you think of Final Call Radio, Brother Minister? He said, I don't like it. I was like, wow. Wow. And let me get up off the floor. I said, what is it that you don't like, brother minister? He said, all I hear is me.
Mm.
Mm,
Said, I wanted to hear more. So Supreme told him, well, Dad, the people are thirsty to hear from you and what you have to say.
that's right.
And he said, so, these are messages that some have never heard. These are messages that some haven't heard in a long time, but they still apply today because of what's going on.
That's right.
And he said, okay. And he told me, he said, well, brother, he said, I want you to take what is good and make it better. And he said, I want you to take what is better and make it great. And I said, yes, sir. And then a year later, for the anniversary, he came back and said, I get it. I understand it now. He said, while the man is resting, while I'm resting, the word is going out throughout the world. He said, because I wake up and ask him to turn on Final Call Radio, and the word is going out while I was resting. And he said, so I understand it now. And that's when he did the video about and his message about all facets of Final Call Radio, from the music to the testimonials, and certainly, him saying, he said, I'm like, where do I get this from? He said, I know where I got it from. I got it from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But for him to say now that it is the sweetest sound this side of heaven, my soul was watered. My soul was watered. Praise be to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. What can you say? I mean, what a man.
That's right. Come on, man.
That's right.
Oh, Brother James.
Yes, sir. Just even thinking about him, I'm just overwhelmed, just at the thought of this man that God has blessed us with,
Brother James, I'm gonna tell y'all this story. It was, and I love telling this to my wife. I haven't really shared it with too many people because I don't want to get in trouble. But I told my wife, I said, it was only one time I disobeyed my Supreme Captain. He was Supreme Captain. It is Supreme Captain. It's Mustafa Farrakhan. I said I was in Chicago, and it was a fight, a boxing match that was on, and I went over to Mustafa's house to watch the fight. And when I got there, Sister Karen, may Allah be pleased with her, she was standing on the porch. And I pulled up, I said, well, Sister Karen, what's going on? And she said, oh, my husband just left. He's going to meet my father-in-law because he's on his way over here. I said, oh. And when she said father-in-law, I'm thinking about her father. But I said, wait a minute, I heard in-law. And I said, wait, that's the minister. I said, the minister's coming over here? She said, yes. I was like, what? Because I had no idea he was coming. It was a Saturday evening. And sure enough, the minister pulls up in his Range Rover and Mustafa pulls up in his vehicle. And I'm lit up. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh. So the minister comes in. I went behind him and helped him take off his coat and everything. And he's taking off his shoes. And, he's going around. I think it was his first time at Mustafa's house. And he was going around, and so Sister Karen said, are you hungry? And he said, well, I've already had a little something. She said, that's not enough. We'll get you something to eat. So Mustafa was like, well, Brother Michael and I will go to the store and we'll buy something to eat. So I started plotting right then. I said, I'm buying. I don't care. And so we get to the grocery store, we get this food and everything. And he said, what are you doing, brother? I said, I'm about to pay. He said, put your money up. You're not about to pay. I said, sir, with all due respect, I'm about to disobey a direct order. I am going to pay. I said, you get to pay all the time. I'm going to pay. He said, brother, so while he kept talking, I was paying. He told me, he looked at me, he said, "You're just a sneaky somebody, ain't you? You just sneaky, man."
Allahu Akbar. Go
That was
ahead.
the only and the last time I disobeyed an order, but I had to. And I pray he will forgive me. But man,
I'm sure he has, brother.
Allahu Akbar. Praise
Allahu
to Allah.
Yes.
yes.
Wonderful
But you
testimony.
talk about love. That's where that came from. I was like, man, I love this man. And I said,
Come
I
on,
get a
brother.
chance to buy something for all he's done for us.
Yes, Lord.
At least, can I just do this little thing right here?
That's
Mhm.
right. Man.
Right. Praise be to Allah. Wonderful.
I mean, he is such a benefactor
Yes,
to
he is.
us, as black people, of course, but to the entire world.
Come on.
This man.
That's right. That's right.
I refer to him as my personal savior, my redeemer.
That's exactly who he is. Exactly.
That's exactly who he is.
Yes,
Now, before I start weeping, I want to, we have about maybe 2 or 3 more, maybe about 5 minutes before we get into our closing announcements. Brother Michael, I'd like to turn that time over to you for whatever closing remarks that you'd like to make.
Yes, sir. I think what comes to mind is us living in this time, the time that the prophets saw. And I think often about the prophets prophesying of these in this day of judgment in which we now live. And what would they think if they could be living in this time, knowing what they saw coming, and what would their thoughts be if they were living in this time? Because I don't want to be one of those people that said, man, if I was living back then, I would have done this, and a third.
Yes, sir.
I want to really be the person, and I want us to be the people who really help the Messiah.
That's right.
And be with the Messiah in this time. And I want to be shown, I want to be worthy of a man sacrificing his life, his family's life.
Yes.
Least I could do is not hide my gifts and talents, whatever they are that Allah has blessed me to have, but to put them on display, not for some notoriety of my own or self-aggrandizement, some ego, but to help those who are in need and those who need help, but to help the man who helped the man who met with God face to face.
That's right, brother. Come on.
Well put. Yes.
So
all praise was due to Allah.
I want to be found worthy, Brother James, Sister Starla, Brother Chad.
Come on. Likewise.
I want to be found worthy to do the will of God, but help our nation, the minister, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I thank Master Fard Muhammad for coming.
Yes, sir.
9,000 miles to seek and to save. And he found this one black man, Black Bottom, Detroit. I wonder if Master Fard Muhammad went to Compton. I wonder if he went to Fifth Ward. I wonder if he went to Berry Farms in D.C. I wonder if he went to Overtown down in Miami. I wonder if he went to, Piedmont Courts in Charlotte, North Carolina. I wonder if he went to Brooklyn or the Bronx or Queens. I don't know if he did, but I know doggone well he went to Black Bottom, Detroit.
That's right. Yes, sir.
One black man, and raised him up. And I'm so thankful for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad recognizing Master Fard Muhammad and giving his last dime.
That's right.
And starting this whole process, because I'm able to sit here through this modern technology and see my brothers and my sister in our nation. So I thank Allah for blessing us all. And I pray that he continues to bless us and our family, and he blesses us all with success and good health.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's right.
All praise to Allah. Very beautiful.
Wonderful.
A wonderful note to close the program. I am so thankful to Allah for you, brother,
Praise
and
be.
for your presence, honoring us with your presence here on Closing the Gap broadcast.
That's right.
We certainly will be in touch with you for part 2.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you all too, Brother Chad, Sister Starla.
Thank you,
Sister
sir.
Starla, you know I love hearing your voice on Final Call Radio. She has such a magnificent, strong, powerful voice.
Yes, she does.
When
That's
it comes
right.
through, it sounds great. But Brother James, looking forward to you and Brother
You want to get me started?
Chad.
We're looking forward to submitting, brother.
Yes,
Praise be to
sir.
Allah.
Yes.
But I'm looking. Sister Starla's done many testimonials. Y'all are behind, so you have an opportunity to catch up.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we surely will.
A
Inshallah.
word to the wise and even to the fool is sufficient.
Brother Michael, do you mind sharing with the audience one more time your email address?
Yes, please.
Sure. It's saundersradio@gmail.com. SAUNDERS radio@gmail.com.
All praise is due to Allah. And of course, we can access the Final Call Radio at radio.finalcall.com to show our support, to enjoy the inspiration, the messages of God's man in our midst, the Messiah.
That's right.
I don't hesitate saying that, the Messiah in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
Thank you, Brother Michael. And for those of you who enjoyed this segment and those that we have presented to you by Allah's grace and permission in the past, if you enjoy them and you'd like to help us to continue to do so, you can also donate to Closing the Gap broadcast via PayPal. That's Closing the Gap broadcast at gmail.com, or Cash App at $CTG broadcast, and Zelle at Closing the Gap broadcast at gmail.com. We thank you for your donations, and it is because of you that we are able to put on these broadcasts. We want to ask you to tune into our, I don't want to say subsidiary broadcast, but we now are a network housing 5 other broadcasts that broadcast during the week. Tune into those broadcasts whenever you had the time. Thank you for your support, and may Allah continue to bless you and to bless us. And thank you so much again, Brother Michael. Please give our love and greetings to Sister Monique and your family.
Will do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And congratulations to you with this beautiful platform. Y'all are doing an excellent job, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
It's an honor.
All praises due to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
All right.
Announcements. Go ahead.
And now we have our closing announcements.
Yes.
Once again, we would like to thank our viewing and listening audience for tuning in. Your support is greatly appreciated. As always, I would like to remind you to please make sure that you visit finalcall.com. That's www.finalcall.com. And there you can, of course, see the latest in terms of coverage contained in the Final Call newspaper. On that very same website, if you click on store, and that takes you to store.finalcall.com. There you can order books by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, messages by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and much, much more. And last but not least, on that very same website, if you click on Final Call Radio, that takes you to finalcallradio.com, where there you have 24/7 messages and excerpts from speeches by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as well as musical selections. And of course, you can download the Final Call Radio app on your device, so you can again have 24/7 access to the man of God and the servant of God in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And with that, I will pass the mic to Student Minister Chad Muhammad for his announcements.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Starla. We want to thank those again that was listening. We want to most definitely thank our dear brother Michael. And I also wanted to give you the greetings on behalf of our student regional minister, Brother Patrick Muhammad of Assalamu alaikum too, dear brother.
Wa alaikum salam.
And for the listener orders, continue to like, follow, and share. And those that, whether you heard this for the very first time or you're tuning in, you continue to tune in. If you like what you heard and you believe it to be the truth, and good for our people, we want you to go to www.noi.org/join and fill out the digital form that you could be a part of the registering in the Nation of Islam by Allah's grace. And by chance, if you happen to be in the Tampa Bay area, we want to invite you out to this wonderful lecture that will be given by yours truly, inshallah, student minister James Muhammad. And that is going to be at Muhammad Mosque number 47. And we'll be right there in Progress Village here in Tampa. So if you're in the Bay Area, please come out. And by chance, if you're not, we want to encourage everyone. You could tune in for this great message that's called The Will of God, Knowledge, Faith, Patience, Part 3, by our dear brother and assistant minister to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, student minister Ishmael Muhammad. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All praise is due to Allah. A quick apology to our viewing and listening audience. Normally, we would be displaying the form that Brother Student Minister Chad was referencing. Also, the Final Call newspaper and its sections that Sister Stala was referring to. Our producer is otherwise occupied. We miss her, of course. And
yes, we do.
Sheila is doing a magnificent job.
Yes,
she handles these announcements. So sorry, Sister Sheila, we didn't do quite as good a job as you do. But that just shows you, when you see this broadcast, how much you are missed, how much you are.
That's right.
That's right. Allahu Akbar.
All praises due to Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
But thank you all as we close, and tune in next week. Same time, same station. And inshallah, we look forward to, I don't know if the National is going to do something with the 40th anniversary of the More Than a Vision experience with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We wait with bated breath and joyful anticipation if such is happening. But September 17th, and I know, I'm pretty sure it's going to be part of the Final Call newspaper, the next issue. Sister Stala, you can give it. Well, no, I'm not going to do that, but hopefully it will. But it's a very important date. Keep this date in your mind, September 17th. More Than a Vision experience of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So thank you. Thank you, and may Allah continue to bless you as I greet you in peace. Looking forward to seeing you next week on Closing the Gap broadcast. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.